Welcome to New Realities. I'm on Steinfeld. I'm here with another episode of my program, my ongoing series with Susan Barnes, who is a medium. And I've asked her to go even deeper this week to connect in with the forces, the energies that she speaks to. So go ahead, Sue, do your thing and we'll just go deeper into it. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, we said mysteries beyond. When I say that, what I mean is beyond no average consciousness or normal consciousness or everyday consciousness, because what they're telling me is that much of this information is really embedded in our own DNA, and we can access it if we are able to open our minds up to it. So, with that said, I'm going to say a prayer, and then Alan's going to play some music. And the person I feel is going to come through today is probably my philosopher, who is Socrates. And Socrates is getting more of a voice of our group of philosophers. So, with that said, we'll start open with a prayer. Dear infinite intelligence, all that creates the world and all that is knowing of what there is, please allow us to understand some of the mysteries that are about the humankind. And we need to know as individuals, especially in this time of difficulty. We want you to enlighten us, to let us know more about the nature of who and what we are. And we ask you to bring spirit guides, helpers, and reveal the information within ourselves so that we can better understand the human nature and what we are all about and what we should be doing at this time. Amen.
Amen. Can I play some music here? Sorry.
The music of the is the sound that has been throughout the ages. It is a sound that is an ancient one. Flutes can reveal some of the hidden mysteries within our minds. Let the music fill you with the wonders of what is now, what is the past, and what will be the future. For many of us live within the future, and we do not live within the moment. For time has been a conception of mankind. But time is more than you can understand. It is an infinite moment, a here, a now. It is a multi-dimension with many things occurring at the same time. What you think is a moment here in your reality is many moments in the past and in the future. For all that you were and all that you will be is embedded in your own body's makeup. But when we think of the body, we think of a physical being, which is not correct. We are a fluid being, Fluid in terms of our vibrations, for it is vibrations that make up the world and make up who we are. So the vibrations that hold our energies together in a solid form are just vibrations. But you need to realize that the vibrations also come from your technologies, from the sounds you create, from the noise that you have, from the cars on your streets. For all of these things are vibrations that affect the human being and the well-being of the individual. For it is the well-being that we are concerned. And we know that the well-being of the individual needs to be within a balanced state. And a balanced state of harmony is a balanced state in which all of your vibrations or your chakra points are in alignment with each other, where the colors all flow into a rainbow, and that rainbow makes up the whole of who you are. For when one part of the rainbow is imbalanced, the rest of the body will be so. But it is striving for that balance that is difficult. For your preoccupation is with the physical things within the world around you, not the spiritual essence of the world beyond. But you have to understand that you live within the world beyond and also live within the present. It is a balance of trying to understand how to be in the present, but also experience the beyond that you need to learn. For when you can open your mind up to the subconscious messages of the universe and all those beings that are there, and all of that infinite intelligence that dwells within and around you, for it is within you and it is also without you. For people say, what is God? God, we say, is infinite intelligence. God is the creative force that made all of this possible. And when the humankind tried to understand the intelligence of God, they missed the boat. I know that you're sayings, but they missed the fact that all intelligence is something that would make anything possible. For you must believe that you see things with your eyes, but the things you don't believe are also possible. For why would God limit himself? And why would God not want you to be able to do everything that you imagine? And it is all that you imagine that is possible. For as we have said before, your thoughts are things, and these thoughts are very powerful, for they can make your reality, they can make what you want to envision and you want to see. For in ancient times, other civilizations have lived more with the earth and with the natural resources of the planet than you have at this point. You use the resources, but you do not use them wisely. For this is one reason why the planet is revolting, and you are experiencing all types of different physical, medical, and emotional turmoil. For it is all coming together in a head at this point, because you have brought yourselves to this brink of change, and look at it as a change of moving from one state into another. And as you have learned very quickly, things can change. You all have changed your behavior and your patterns, and you need to continue to do so, but do so in a direction that is more spiritual. And be aware of the vibration, for the vibration starts within yourself, and with you being aware of the energies within your body and the energies that surround you, your aura, and how your aura touches the spirit realm are all very important aspects of who you are and how you relate to this reality and humankind. And it is your aura that touches others and those around you. But as you can see, we are at a time when we're trying to distance ourselves. And this distancing is the distancing of the touching of the aura or the spiritual self with others. So it is a time for internal progress, a time for individual contemplation. Reflective thinking is something that you do not do as often as you should. For with all of the technologies around you, we see that instant gratification, being able to talk on a cell phone or being able to communicate over a distance, is more important than times you spend with others in close proximity. But this time of the virus is trying to teach you that that proximity is very important to all of you and all of your lives. But I do believe you want me to go deeper, deeper into the vibrations that you feel and that you need to learn. For you feel the vibration within yourself first. And the whole point of being able to trance is to be able to merge an individual's vibration with a spiritual vibration. It is not a possession, it is a sharing of knowledge, a sharing of individuals, a sharing of the past and of the future. For there have been times when mankind has been very cognizant of how the earth works and the moon cycles in the sky and the way things revolve around each other. But instead, your civilization has focused on the way things revolve around the self, the individual self. But it is not the self that is important. It is how the self relates to the energy vibrations in you and around you and about you. For it is this vibration that makes you who you are. And we need to know that as we develop these technologies, we need to be aware of how the vibrations may affect the human body and how the vibrations may change us in the very core of the DNA. For it changes you physically more than it changes us spiritually. For we have evolved beyond the physical realm and into just a spiritual vibration. But we are here, we are around, and we do watch and guide as we see what is going on the earth plane. But the mysteries that you want to know about, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, I want to say that this seems like an evolution. Yes, it's tragic and lots of people are suffering, but talk about the evolutionary qualities of this time we are moving into.
Evolutionary qualities are a time of consciousness changing. You, as a species, have been progressing. You looked at first mediumship, then you looked at spirit voices that way. Then you evolved and began to look at spiritual voices in the terms of psychology and the unconscious mind and the conscious mind. This was a very good evolution and progression because it is through the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind that we can reveal the information of the intelligence of the world. For you can discover things about yourself not by thinking about it on a conscious level, but by opening your mind and being able to tap into all of those in unconscious thoughts and attitudes and ideas that are locked within yourself. So this is a time of opening the mind to the consciousness of the next stage. And in the next stage, you will be able to communicate with what you call aliens which are really light beings and spiritual beings of a different nature. And this is what you want. Of course, there are positive beings and negative beings surrounding you, and those that seek to elevate themselves to the light and to the light workers will find those energies, and those that seek to go into the darkness will go into the darkness. But it is the light and the opening up of the consciousness to the light workers, to the light energy that you want to progress.
Yes. So is there any practice you think we should do? We should, you want to lead us through a practice or an exercise that will get us more in touch with this time of transformation?
To get in touch with the energy and the transformation, you need to quiet yourself. You need to spend time just allowing your subconscious mind to reveal the information to you. Instead of clouding your mind with conscious thoughts of what are you going to eat for dinner or where are you going to go shopping, you need to try to stop all of that chatter. And it is chatter. So you need to move beyond the chatter and allow your mind to go deeper, deeper within itself to reveal the knowledge. And you want to know how to do this. Well, it starts simply with sitting quietly and focus on your breathing. And if you breathe in the spiritual energies and breathe out the clutter that goes on within your mind, eventually you will just be focusing on your breathing. And as you focus on the breathing, you will begin to hear or be aware of the knowledge that is being told to you, the knowledge that you seek to understand. It may not happen all at once, it takes practice. It takes practice to get rid of the clutter, but that's what you do, and it mostly comes from the breathing. Another exercise to do this is to focus on a visual, is to focus your mind on something like a burning candle or an image. Pick an image that will enable you to open your mind to more spiritual thoughts. And by focusing on this image and not allowing the clutter to come into your mind, you will be able to train your mind because that's what it is. That's what mediums learn to do. They learn to train their mind so that they could connect with the spirit entities that are all around them. It is a matter of training the mind to be able to unleash the subconscious thoughts that are deep within inside you.
So let's talk about the new humanity, because if you are Socrates, you're the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates, or an aspect of that.
An aspect.
So
Yes.
that right, an aspect. He was talking about the evolution of the humanity. The true, the beautiful, and the good. This is what we are. This is what the soul's intention is. So, do you see it now as the next step for us? Is this the force that will take us to a more compassionate society? I mean, that's what I see. How do you see it?
It can. There is no chance. I mean, that my writings and my work are still in your world today, although I wrote at a time that was much more ancient and a time when thinking was much more spiritual and much different from your world the way it is today. We were much more closely in tune with our feelings and with our thoughts and with the earth around us. Things were much, much simpler in my time than they are in yours today. So we need to think about what is it that you would like? Would you like to move into a simpler and more harmonic way of living? Or do you want to stay within the state that you are in now? It is really
We
You.
Yeah, we are asked now to change. This is what this situation is about. We need to change personally, collectively, and as our relationship to the planet exists. So yes, we've already been as complicated and as out of touch as we can be. Now it's time
Not true, but
to,
I'm sure you could make it more complicated.
I'm sure we could, but I think that has come to an end because too many people were suffering, the earth was suffering. And so, what was the wisdom that you found that made your life so deep and philosophical? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, it was a very different way of living. You know, you ask a question, it's not just a simple answer. It's not just do this and it will all change. You have to realize that part of it is a mindset. It's a mindset of who you are and what you want to be, and a pace and a pattern and a vibration in which you live on the earth plane. Our vibration was a much different one. It was a vibration, I don't want to say was a lower vibration, it was a calmer vibration. Calmness is the correct way to say it. For vibrations go very high spiritually. And for individuals like myself, when I was on the earth plane, my vibration was quite high. And the high vibrations were able to write and connect with the ideas that I did. And the writings that I performed were not just me, they were writings from the spirit level and the spirit world, which is why they have remained within your world today. But most people do not understand these words the way they were meant to be read or written, because you do not think the way we thought. You do not live the way we lived. So the question becomes not just one of seeking within yourself, but it is one of being aware of your vibration and how your vibrations interact with each other. The situation you are in has become so dramatic because it's not a situation where some government official will tell you where you're going and where you're leading. It is a situation that has to come from changes from the bottom up. Every individual has an idea of where and what we should do. And those ideas need to be voiced and they need to be recognized. And you, as a world, need to begin to understand that it is not one nation or one people's that is dominant over another. All people, all ideas are valid. And it is through the joining of these many ideas from the bottom up that you will find solutions. For the solutions come from all over the place. And you are beginning to realize this with the virus because you're beginning to see that your political leaders are so anxious to move into an economy. But the virus does not go away. And the ideas come from many, many different places and many, many different things. And I am aware of what has been said in many of your news broadcasts and different things because this medium listens to them. And she listens to the fact that many of these ideas are coming from all kinds of alternate different places. When a car factory can make respirators, when a company that was creating some type of cloth fabric can all of a sudden make thousands and thousands of masks. You see change happen, but it is change that is bottom up, and it is change you need to listen to. So part of this is not only seeking within your soul, but also being able to listen to others. I mean, that is what a dialectic society is all about. A dialectic society is about listening to the words of others and understanding the arguments of others and being able to decide what is the best for most of the people. You will never be able to do the best for everyone. but you can move towards a kinder and gentler world that will be a better place for most.
Thank you. This is what this situation is telling us. But if you can go a little deeper and talk about the cosmic influences, because, you know, as we go beyond this earth plane, we are in touch with these other intelligences, these ET, if we want to call them, a greater humanity. And there's a bigger plan for us at this stage of awakening, this great awakening that we're in. So give us a little perspective on this big plan as it's seen from a cosmic, I don't want to call them ETs, but a greater humanity, because they are us. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you have to understand that you are a vibration. You are not only a vibration, you are a vibration that is attracted to light. So if we look at the universe, we see that it is light. It is light reflected through the stars and the planets, but is also light reflected through living beings. You as humans must be incredibly egocentric if you think that you are the only type of living race in the galaxy. For there are many types of living things, but instead of the creatures that you create in your television shows and the monsters that you depict, which come out of your fears, and these are fears within your mind, not the universe. For in the universe, you must think more in terms of light and light beings and angels. And if you can imagine, the angels are floating out there in the universe. And as you come in contact with these different races and these different peoples, you will realize that they are elevated on different levels of consciousness than yourself. And you will not become aware of these other races until your consciousness is of such a level that you will be able to understand them. And this level is one where the fear needs to go away. For your idea of alien is a planet coming, people coming to attack you or take over your planet. It is not an idea of you working in cooperation with another planet. There have been many of your mediums and people that have talked about the living creatures on Mars. Are you ready to embrace them as your brothers and sisters? Or are you
Yes.
ready to attack them as an alien being? The
Well,
decisions are yours.
well, the decision is something I made. Talk to me, because I don't see it that way. They are not here to attack us, just like, you know, most people are pretty decent. Most beings in the cosmos are pretty decent. And if they, so we, yes, have to overcome our fears, and we also have to graduate to a new way of thinking, a new vibration of thought. That's the biggest obstacle we have. So coming from the perspective that you're seeing, what attune us to the vibration beyond fear into harmony, or suggest that?
Well, fear is something that is very much embedded in the human psyche at this point. And you have to realize that if we are all vibrations and we are all energies, all of those television programs and films and things that you create that show the negativity with the aliens are all out there. They're all thoughts. So, how can you say that the other consciousness isn't seeing this and saying humankind is not gentle, is not willing to accept us at this point? So you need to change these things. You need to change it on a deep fundamental level. Although it starts with individuals, it must also expand into the cultures because your cultures are not ready to meet with another level of consciousness yet. As individuals become more attuned to it, These individuals must then begin to become part or infiltrate into your governments and into the public sphere of your planet. For the public sphere is not the same as the personal, is not the same as the individual. And although your intentions, and it is intentions, your intentions may be kind and good, it is not true of all the human race. So you need to understand that while it starts with you and it starts with things like your programming, that is good. And this is the beginning. But you still have a long ways to go. And I would say to you that start, if every individual in the world would just take a couple of minutes a day, clear their mind, and tune into this new consciousness, it would make you ready and more aware of where you will be in the future.
Right. I mean, I'm already part of a population that's not about fear, that's about welcoming, about changing our consciousness to become more cosmic. I think we have to understand how these aliens, if we want to call it that, communicate, how they think. I'm not interested in talking about fear or what most of the population is, susceptible to or concerned with. I know it's something else. Talk more about levels of consciousness and the modalities of thought that occupy a kind of ET perception, if you know what I mean by that question.
Well, you are very ego driven.
Thank you.
It is very difficult for you as a race and a species to realize how much of your ego dominates your life. It is a change in thinking. If you are able to let go of the ego and realize that you are all a community, a part of a larger energy, and that's the way to look at it. It's an larger energy. A medium can work because they share their energy with the spirit world. You need to be able to open yourselves up, open your mind to the point where you can share with other beings in other worlds and in other dimensions. For it is opening the mind up, and the mind is closed with the ego. And it is the ego that has made you so materialistic and has made you so closed minded. Think about how many people in your world cannot accept certain things and certain people. You need to be able to be more acceptive, to be able to be more open, to be able to realize that the ego that drives you and controls your life is what also prevents you from being able to communicate with the higher beings on the light planes of the world.
Right, that's true. Ego in a distorted way, because ego is the spirit incarnation in form. So the appropriate use of ego is an evolutionary factor that integrates the spirit into the plane of experience. So I think as spirit takes a more of a hold in this plane, there'll be a balance to the ego.
Yes, but you have to understand that the direction, you look at my time. In my time, we just had orality. We had some written language, but we did not have millions of books. We did not have television. We did not have what you call selfies. All of this feeds the ego because it is talking about the individual and paying more attention to an individual than to the group. Although you are not a hive mentality, you are not like your so called what science fiction Borg things. Um, you are an individual, but as an individual, you need to allow yourself to blend with the spirit world and to be able to accept the vibrations of others which you reject at this particular time. But it has
Wait, what do you? Yeah,
everything in your life has gotten you to this point.
right. I agree. I have to say there's was just as much ego, which is a Greek word, back in the times of Socrates as there is now. You could read the literature, it's all based on ego, except for people like Socrates who were able to transcend the personal identification. So I don't think it's more now. I think it may have been crystallized, but I think this moment is a breaking from a kind of solidity, self-centered beingness into a more compassionate society. So when you say we have to accept other people's vibration, I think that's happening. How do you mean that? What do you mean by that expression?
Well, we need to be accepting of others, and we need to understand that their vibrations can vibrate with us. But you see, it is all about the harmony, because if my vibration is vibrating in tune with your vibration, we create a harmony. But if my vibration is rejecting the vibration of another, then we are not creating a harmony. So think of it as music. Think of it as music. Certain notes, when you put them together, they blend into a lovely melody, but other notes can be very discordant. So you need to think about blending yourselves into a musical number that allows more people to be able to be harmonious with each other. And as that harmony progresses throughout individuals, you will be able to create a gentler and kinder type of lifestyle.
Yes, but I like what you're saying there because it triggered a kind of thought for me that being with others on the planet, sort of like playing jazz, everyone gets into a flow. And what I know, I don't know that much about jazz, but it seems like everyone's trying to harmonize, but also move the piece along with their own individual expressions. That's not necessarily in conflict with the rest, but brings out aspects and themes. And I think this kind of jazz-like way of being with each other as complementary and what harmonious is an evolution for our culture,
Yes,
human
but
that.
jazz example is a good one because look at it this way. You have a series of musicians. Let's say you have five musicians. If five musicians are playing jazz, they need to be aware of what each other is doing and they need to get in harmony with each other. If all five people are saying, I'm going to be the leader, follow me, then there is no harmony, then there is no music.
But
So,
that's not what happens. There's an improvisational collective mind that allows each person to be a creative manifester.
correct.
So,
But how many in the world, people in your world do that?
well, we're not talking about the old world. I'm talking about a formula for a new society, a new way of being together. We know what the old world is like. Okay, it was full of fear and opposition, and we're talking about something new here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and you're trying to achieve that. Well, I would say to you, the image that came to my mind is of drumming. Imagine everybody sitting in a drumming circle, beating their drums at the same time. They're in harmony with each other, they are
Right.
in sync with each other. And that's what you want to have happen. That's where you want to be. You want to be in sync with other people.
Exactly.
And
All
it starts,
meshing together.
and all meshing
Go
together.
ahead. Sorry.
And it starts with each individual. I mean,
Right.
anger, if you are a person who is accepting of others and not angry with others, and try to do good for others, then you will help to progress towards this new world that you want.
Exactly. As my good friend Steve says, if everyone lives their truth, it will all work, you know?
That's correct. That's correct. But the problem is that some people's truths, and this is where you have gone astray, some people's truths are to take advantage of other people. So you're right. If you want this new world, you want this new harmony, it begins with each of individual and each of us, both in the spirit world and on your earth plane, to just be able to calm your energy down. That doesn't mean lower the vibration. It means to calm the energy down so that you can be in sync with a higher vibration. And as you raise yourself up to that higher vibration, you will be able to touch in with the light beings and with the other beings that surround us in the universe.
Right. No one is really interested in taking advantage of someone else as a soul evolution. Yes, maybe lower level souls, but the truth is those people have been taught by the culture to take advantage in order to get further, in order to gain more riches. The key that a lot of people are saying on the chat is know thyself. In the knowing of the self, there comes a harmony with others as well. And that goes back to the Delphic Oracle. Yes.
But you have to also understand that if you believe in the reincarnation process, you see that some of the ills that have happened in the past may be carried over into this current lifetime. So you really need to think about why and how you are doing things. Are you doing it from habit, or are you doing it from your true soul? So it's the habitual
That's
thing that become a
yeah,
problem.
well, that's the aspect of knowing yourself. If you know yourself, and I'm not saying that's easy, that's a lifelong process, you start to understand habits and impulses and unconscious behavior. This is all, this is what Socrates and the Delphonic Oracle said, know thyself and you will know the gods and the universe. That's the whole thing. And this is what we're after. This is the moment of our awakening, our planetary awakening. So I think we should all come from a new place of understanding.
That's correct. And the way to do that is to quiet yourself and to listen to the inner voices that will appear. And if you cannot quiet chatter that goes on about the daily things within your life, you will never know yourself.
Right. So I just want to ask about the aspect of Socrates beyond the earth plane. What was his realization about his life and the way he lived? Because he was probably one of the most spiritual beings that ever existed. So what did he realize beyond this plane?
He knew that the energy of Socrates as a human, living human, was not the energy of Socrates. The soul lives on. The soul is much more than what is encased within a body. For it is the soul that you must work on, and the soul that goes from one incarnation to another or into the spirit world. And ultimately, the soul will progress to the point where it goes out as energy into the cosmos, and it can merge and join with other energies and find total peace and love.
Yeah, it's true. And I also got, the reminders of the great work, which is what the ancient mystery schools were about, which is what Plato, Socrates' students tapped into, is all about knowing yourself as an aspect of creation, as a fractal of the totality. So when you know that aspect of the fractal, you know the totality of existence. And that is the great work. That's the magnus opus.
Yes, and as you realize that you are just one fragment of many, then the ego is in check. But you also know that from Plato, he talked about the cave, and the allegory of the cave is very true today. For we are looking at the shadows of the world. We are not looking at the three dimensionality of the universe. And it is when we begin to try to understand that dimensionality that we begin to see things more clearly.
Right. I think in a way we are looking at the dimensionality, just this interfacing of computer technologies and internet in speaking to people is a great metaphor for the artificial creation that the soul inhabits as physical form. So I could think this world is real, but it's as much a projection of something as the computer screen is, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
That's
because
the
it's all a projection of the mind, and it all comes from the mind constructions that you have. I mean, I think you have to see that the thinking is much more powerful than what you realize. So the construction of things are how you construct them within yourself. And you need to realize that the mind itself is the power. Being able to just fathom or begin to understand the concept of fourth dimensional geometry, of multi-dimensional worlds, is something that you could not do before. So as you begin to understand and be able to see these things, you will be able to see the direction in which this world is going.
right. One more comment, and maybe we'll wrap up with some final words. But the whole idea of ego is not negative if you use it as a vehicle for reflecting where we might be stuck. So if ego situations come up, it's not to assert that people want to change things. It's like, okay, what do I need to look at from an objective way in order to evolve? So the ego is purposely there to evolve the spiritual awareness.
I did not say the ego was negative.
Right. Okay.
The
Okay.
ego, what happens is that the ego in some individuals places the I above everything else. And that is when the ego can become problematic. The ego strength that you need is strength that you need to accomplish things within your life. It is things the ego drives us forward and also brings us into making change and making things happen. So it is just an issue of directing the ego in the right direction and allowing the self to truly understand what is best for not just you as an individual, but what is best for the other things within your culture. Does
Right. So we
that
can,
answer your question? Yeah.
no, go ahead. What were you saying? Sorry. What was the
Did
last part
that
that you
answer
said
your,
there?
did that answer your question?
Yes. So you're saying, and what I also believe, that the ego or the sense of separate self in the world comes up, it's confronted, let's say, or challenged, or asked to do something, and then we could become objectified and say, okay, what is it that we're here to do? And we can also then, or we don't have to, if we don't do that, we take it personally and then, shout back at the person on the television because they don't agree with us. It's sort of like that. So,
That's the fearful
uh,
part.
right. And it's a
Where fear
limited
comes
part.
in. Yeah, that's where the fear comes in. Fear comes in because people think that they're being that there's something going against them, that there's something negative happening to them, so they retaliate with negativity rather than saying, okay, this is pushing back at me. So instead of me pushing back at it, let me look at it and accept it and see what to do about it.
It's pushing back at us because it wants us to see the limitations that we have put up in the world. I also have to say there's something good about accomplishment, and that's a sort of satisfaction that may be egoic, but is also a transformation of that. It's beyond that as well, because I think somewhere the ego merges with the soul in order to understand and integrate life experiences as the soul's own evolution.
Yes, but you shouldn't, but it is, again, a combining of the two. That's a very good point. Combining of the two, not a separation.
Yeah, we just have to keep in mind, you don't have to take everything personally. That's
Correct.
basically what it comes down to.
Correct.
So I really appreciate your time here. Any final words, any wisdom, anything you want to pass on at the end of this transmission?
I would just say, remember to take a little time every day to calm yourself and to listen to the voices from within.
Hmm,
It will help you to find that peace you're looking for.
thank you. Thank you, Sue. Okay. Can we play some music? How are you doing, Sue? Was that deep for you?
Um, Deeper, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it flowed, right?
Yes. You want to go deeper next?
What?
We can go deeper next time, okay?
You have to give me a clue about what kind of deepness you're looking for.
Well, I want to talk about extraterrestrial realities. I want to talk about the levels of consciousness that exist within the cosmos. I want to talk about trans egoic personality states that access other dimensional beings. There's a lot there. I just want to also say comments by Kathleen Del Rio. I believe that the harmonics and vibrational frequencies on a majority of Earth are not integrated, yet I am experiencing the egos, even professional counselors who are in polarized frequencies. Yes, there's a lot of polarization of frequencies. But no one, like Reox says, there's no one less divine than ourselves. We all have different roles. And someone mentions the archons, which is a whole other discussion. Yeah, I like the message of looking at ourselves. And I think this is an opportunity where we can have a bigger global perspective because we're all in this together. That's the miracle of the moment.
That's true. And the miracle of the moment is the fact that people seem to be coming together in new and different ways that they've never done before. And the ego and the financial system, we realize that our financial system doesn't work. I mean,
yes,
they keep borrowing money from where? I mean, I think they keep making money.
Yes, they're printing it. How could they charge interest on things that they printed up that doesn't have any? But yeah, it doesn't work. That's why this whole conditioning of corporate greed and the people that have more money are better people or they've have more respect. That's falling away. Those are the old values. Now it's people who give back, people who can help others, people who can contribute.
Correct.
Those are the people.
Look at it. I mean, you look at it. Look at all the people that can't pay their rent. I mean, what are we going to do? Make everybody in the world homeless?
It's all about the who is actually
another system. What?
We need a new system that is like here to serve the population, not the 1%. So I think this is the beginning of that shift. That a lot of old structures have to be taken down and are dissolving, but we need people with real vision to create something new that will be a benefit for everyone. And I don't really see those people coming forward. Maybe it's on a
They're
local
here.
level.
I mean, look at, okay, you want to talk about different levels of consciousness. Look at, there have been people that we call walk-ins that are old. So there are many old souls that are here now on the earth that are here to guide us through this transition. It's just that they're not in position like ego position like President or Trump. I mean, to me, Trump's ego is one of the things that drives him and makes him do what he wants to do. And a lot of those decisions are not the correct ones for the whole population. But we
Right.
need to think about the population. So as we move, we begin to see that some of these leaders are looking toward other people. I mean, I look at Cuomo, and he's asking these very bright other people for solutions to things, and he's not just looking at political leaders, because we have to find new solutions and different solutions, and those are not going to come from a political place.
Right. I mean, it comes back to what the raw material said. You do service to self or service to all. This is the choice. And I think everyone is making it in their own way. They think that we may judge someone else, but we don't know their soul evolution.
That's
So,
right.
you know,
But geez,
there,
that's an
there are people who,
individual path.
what's that? You
I
said
said
what?
that's an individual path.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it comes down to each person. That's like wearing a mask. Are you serving yourself or are you serving others? I mean, you know, it's just
Well,
every moment to moment decision.
that's what Cuomo keeps saying. Cuomo keeps saying you're not wearing the mask to prevent yourself from getting the virus. You're wearing the mask to prevent others from getting it. And I mean, that's the kind of thinking that we need to do. But then, okay, look at the masks. How many people are actually wearing their masks, and how many people are refusing to?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, that's a whole discussion, but I also want to say there comes a point where service to self, you realize a service to others is part of the service to self because the others are us. So if we get that bigger perspective, there's a one, thy will is your will. You know, it's all those sayings that where the one becomes the many and the many becomes the one. So this is the evolution that we're in now. So
Correct.
thank you. Thanks, Sue. I appreciate your time. Any new artistic creations you want to point out there? Because it's so colorful. What's that one behind you? It's like a spirit looking down at you. That one, the right behind you with that. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
that.
this is an
Yeah.
angel. That's my
Mhm.
angel um, painting, and she is looking down. And that painting was very much an automatic painting because the face just kind of appeared. I didn't
Mm, yeah.
intentionally
So,
draw it. Yeah.
and you call this spirit art, right?
Yes. Yes. Now the thing with spirit, it's another whole topic I could go into, but um, yeah, it comes from the subconscious mind. It's allowing the subconscious to be able to create messages and images for the conscious mind.
That's right.
That's the best
Uh,
way to say it. Yeah.
Also, talk about your classes, your workshop. You also do private counseling sessions with people. Tell people all about that.
Yes, and I don't have my classes. I'll put my classes on my website. I haven't done that. I have two classes. I teach mediumship classes twice a month and spirit art classes twice a month through the Victor Zammit site. You can get those links through www.victorzammit.com/Zoom, or just go to Victor. He has a newsletter. His newsletter has it posted every week. And you can find out about me if you go to my website, which is www.spiritartgallery.net.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks for your time, and always nice to talk to the
Oh,
ancient philosophers. And yeah,
I should
we
also
will.
mention the classes are free.
Oh, good. And you also have a radio show coming up, right?
I have a radio show coming up. It's going to be called Spiritual Support. And on the show, I will be able to answer the questions of individuals. So I'll be using the mediumship as part of it, and higher consciousness as another part of it. So yeah, I don't have the date or time yet on it. I'm hoping towards the end of the month to get that going.
Great. Thank you. This has been really fun. We could do this again sometime. I'm just going to say this is Alan Steinfeld. I'm here with Sue Barnes, a medium in Lilydale. Lilydale is a sort of magical community upstate New York. And why doesn't everyone stay tuned? We'll be doing more shows with Sue, but also coming up in about an hour, I'm doing another live stream here with someone named Niles who's going to do a healing salon, on the air healing salon. So you could stay tuned. Also,
That's
just look at my YouTube channel and a closing picture there. And I'll just say thanks for tuning in to New Realities. And it's been really fun talking with Sue. And thank you, everyone on the live chat. It always makes it exciting to have people watching along with us. Yeah. In about an hour, look for the live stream, a healing salon, I call it. And we'll do this again with Sue soon. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, Sue.